Okay, this is a look from the San Pedro, La Laguna, Lake Atitlan, Guatemala, 2024. I'm in the cemetery, and I have a gentleman been showing me a tour of this place. They just put on a new section, and this is kind of the new section. So it's a little more organized over there, and I'm going to try to show you some of the things, and then I'm going to give you a video. What I'm going to do is make a video today about two different things. I helped a woman about 80 years old to get a flight to Fort Lauderdale, then a cruise ship. So the first time I really did a deep dive on cruise ships. Plus I'm arranging for some money transfers, automatic reoccurring money transfers. So I'm going to show two different things, but I'm going to also wrap it up with this more fun video of the cemetery, because this is kind of like New Orleans. They're putting the people above the ground in these things. He's trying to say that each one of these slots cost 12,000 quetzales, which is about $1,500. Now, I actually helped bury a guy named Dale Marsh over in Panachel, and I thought we only paid like $100. So, but this is interesting, and I'm going to show. He doesn't want to be in the video, so I'm not going to put him in there. But this is the older section, and now I'm going to have to climb down and not fall down. He's got me up on top of the graves, and see these are all rebar, so they can build up higher. So everything's got rebar in it, because in a way they're always afraid of what do you call it, earthquakes. And we're on a place with 3 volcanoes, so it is kind of risky here. Okay, I'm gonna climb down, so I got to shut this off and start over again. But I'm going to show you a bunch of graves. Then I'm going to talk about reoccurring expenses plus how to buy a cruise ship. So stick with me. I'm Andy Lee Graham. Okay, so we're not in the nicest part of the area. This is kind of a newer part, and so it's not so great. But you can see that each one of these graves has a like a name of a person. Some of them has sayings, like this one has a picture. They often say in Africa that the best day of your life is the day you die, because they'll pay like $10,000 to bury somebody in Africa. But it looks like they're spending quite a bit of money to bury a lot of these people. Most of this stuff is very Christian. The language here is Sutahil. So I kind of feel sad that I'm starting this out in the more rougher area of the thing. But they see how many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6. ¿Qué es más altura hacer? Este es 6. ¿Es más de 6? Solamente 6 arriba? Solo 6. Es a máximo. Okay, so this is the beautiful part of the. Okay, yeah, he's okay. They have 8 high over here, so you can see what they do is they put a casket inside one there, then they seal it shut. I helped to actually pay for this with a guy named Dale Marsh. It's a joven, no, it's a viejo. He's young. It's a joven también. He's young. But all you got to do is ask for, ¿cómo se dice en español? ¿Cementario? Este se llama cementario. Sí, cementerio. Okay. Cementerio. Cementerio? Sí, cementerio. Cementerio. You can say, and in San Pedro, La Laguna, Lake Atitlan, you can say this, and they will bring you here. And it's kind of an interesting tour. And it's very quiet. One of the reasons why I came here, because my friend Mark in Huatuco, Mexico said, hey, if you want to go to a quiet place, go to the cemetery. Okay, yo hago más de video ya. Gracias. Pero tú no estaba en the video. Okay, but you can see this is quite special, right? Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 high. Okay, and this is kind of like what would you call it, a little prayer area. And I'm going to make a video here and try to set this up where I can do it. Okay, I had an interesting week. I went over to Pinachel to kind of take a vacation from San Pedro. I've been here way too long, and I've been waiting for my sister that comes February 3rd, 2024. And what I had an interesting thing is there's a person over there that is older that's from Sweden. It's a really nice person, and I've helped her to buy 2 or 3, probably at least 3 other times. I helped her to buy a plane ticket, and I've helped different people to buy plane tickets over time because often they don't know how to arrange a ticket, and the online plane tickets has become a very big problem for a lot of people. Okay, we used to have travel agents, and the travel agents would help you to get the better price. And now everybody thinks they're very good at doing this, and they often pay more money without a travel agent. But I helped her to buy 2 different things. She bought a plane ticket to Fort Lauderdale, then she bought a cruise to thing. I'm not going to tell the dates, I'm not going to tell the person. I'm just going to tell you my experience on buying a cruise. It was kind of fun. It took almost 4 days for me to do this, because each day I would meet at like 8 o'clock and we'd have discussions, right? And with an 80-year-old person, it's a little slower, right? And I kept trying to discover what she really wanted to do. And she also has a problem because every 90 days you got to renew your visa, and then you got to coordinate it with the rent you're paying. She's paying monthly rents, a month-to-month rent. And she truly was living in a place where the guy was not really treating her correctly. She had trouble with showers. So she's left 4 or 5 times. Her daughter used to live in Fort Lauderdale. But what was interesting is we went through the whole process of trying to buy a cruise. And they have these aggregators, something like Expedia, something like Kayak. There's different booking systems, but the booking systems, it seems like Kayak, and I could be wrong, I've never really bought that many cruises, but I couldn't find a way to use like Kayak, Expedia, or any of the other services to buy a ticket, Skyscanner, and it didn't seem that they didn't have the cruises connected with it. And so they had a couple of them like cruise.com and different systems that seem to maybe sell like 5 of the cruise ship and not all of them. And it was very difficult to try to get together a thing. Finally, I sat there after we came up with 2 tickets leaving from Fort Lauderdale going to Spain, and one with Norwegian Airlines and Norwegian Cruises, and another one with Holland America or something like that. And the one was like $800, but it was leaving from Cape Canaveral. Of course, these guys are really tricky. They'll be $800, then you'll have this other fee, then another service fee. So it can say $899, and by the time you're done, you're up to $1,200. Okay, but I kept trying to figure out the real problem here, and online you couldn't get any clear explanation, right? I finally called up a couple of the websites, the online websites, and it was interesting because I finally met this guy, Aries. I mean, he was a real good, I forget, something like vacations, cruises or something. And we had a long discussion. He was able to configure the searches to make it relatively open so that we could include all of Florida and all of Spain. Plus, she wanted to get off in Alicante, which is 1 step before Barcelona, which I had trouble. She didn't quite understand. She don't watch my videos, and she just knows I don't know. I met her. I was sitting in the kitchen one time, and she said she wanted to buy a plane ticket. I said, just come here on Tuesday or something, and I'll buy you a plane ticket. That was just as simple. I mean, a ticket from here to anywhere in the United States is really easy because you don't even have to be very clever, because it's just it's like almost like it's such an easy ticket that you don't have to be clever. When you get a long run ticket like Africa, or a United States person going to Eastern Europe, or a United States person going to Thailand, it can be really radically. I mean, a plane ticket from United States to Australia can be outrageous. I hear of people paying $10,000 and they go, oh my. As a rule of thumb, anywhere on the planet, one way you can travel anywhere on the planet for $700, okay? So when you're paying more than $700 one way, but if you're going to Africa, it'd be $700 round trip would be right around $1,400. But if you're doing really good, you're going to get it for right around $900, okay? Okay, but she wanted a ticket to Fort Lauderdale, and that ticket was really easy. Then you have all these add-on fees. So she finally admitted that she wanted to have a checked bag. Then she said she wanted a carry-on. I said, but your carry-on's not a carry-on. You're just taking your, I said, hey, you just got a backpack like I have. This is a personal item. But all these rules changed. I said, you got a personal item. You don't have to pay the extra money. Spirit Air charges about different prices. I mean, it's really things. But by the time you get a one-way ticket from here to Fort Lauderdale or Chicago or New York, it's almost always the same. It's going to be right around, with a checked bag, it's right around $250. But they advertise, I mean, you get the ticket starts out at $120. By the time you get all the add-on, it's double the price. So we got that ticket first. I was trying to get her to buy the cruise ship ticket because they had less dates of leaving. They only had like, as best I could tell, in the month of April, she wanted to leave in February. I go, your way seem to be, they don't seem to have that many cruises starting in January, February, March, but we could find a bunch of cruises leaving in April. Okay, so she didn't want a round trip where they come back to the same place. She wanted a one-way trip as transportation. Interesting idea. And I have been having a conversation. It's cheaper to live in on a cruise ship. They have in these cruise ships. I mean, there's maybe I don't know how many people in the cruise ship, but they have like 5 layers, maybe 1,000, 2,000 people, right? They have their own hospitals. Okay, one person, my friend, was saying that it's cheaper to live in a cruise ship as a retirement home than it is to live in a retirement home. So because you could easily, probably, for $4,000 a month, you can have, $4,000. Like, well, she actually opted for the $350 insurance plan, which gives her full coverage insurance, I guess, on the boat. And so, say she paid like $2,000 to go for a 14-day cruise to Spain. Well, that's interesting because the ticket started out at $899 by the time. But what they don't tell you is every ticket is priced at a 2-passenger thing. So 2 people can go for the same price, really, almost as one. And I started, when I was at my room, I started searching for like solo cruises or single cruises or things like that. And then I finally realized, wait a minute, I need some smart people. And I'm always looking for the smart people. The smart people, and one reason why we had that social network is because you could find a smart person, and the hope is that they would be willing to communicate. Well, that didn't work. Everybody either wants to make money or they basically are not very savvy, and the non-savvy people always volunteer to be the helpful people. But we did have some people that were experts at cruises that were smart. But my back to the point was, I finally said, I need a smart person. I need somebody that doesn't have a vested interest, somebody that wants to get paid a commission, really, kind of work like a real estate broker. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, there's travel agents in Fort Lauderdale. So I started calling with Skype, and I started going right down the list because she's going to spend 7 days in Fort Lauderdale. So I started going right down the list and calling up everybody. Of course, they all try to get your phone number, my email address, my full name. I just kept giving them. So now I'm going to get like, I don't know, I ended up making phone calls to 8 different people while she was sitting there listening. And she wanted to talk to them. And I go, you're not really clear on what you're doing. And plus, you don't have the force of voice. I mean, I said, I can't hear you. Okay, luckily we had a good enough connection in like the connection on smartphone in San Pedro La Laguna is horrible. In Tigo, over in Panajachel, it's still okay. The Wi-Fi in both of these places is pretty horrible, okay? And the Tigo is so slow that I can't even go live. So normally the Skype is, I mean, normally your cell phone connection over data is extremely good and the Wi-Fi is bad. Neither one of them are good here on Lake Atitlan. They've oversold the market. But I was lucky to have a very good connection, so I could use Skype and I could sit there and do a voice. You know, I opened it up and I did a, what do you call it, speakerphone, and she could hear what I was doing to know that I was, being straightforward. A lot of people don't want to be honest, so they don't put things on speakerphone. But the guy we bought from, Bill Kennedy in Fort Lauderdale, was very, very good. He was with Expedia Travel, and he sold cruises, and he was very clear. We went through about 8, just like, I don't know, I sound like I was talking to somebody in Cuba or something, and you were getting these kept getting these systems where it was somebody just answered the phone and was not really good at English. Okay, and yo hablo español, no problema, pero todavía yo no quiero para hablar persona en otro idioma para comprar un boleto. I can speak Spanish really good, but I don't want to buy a plane ticket with somebody that doesn't think like me. So I finally got this guy, Bill Kennedy from Expedia he was a worker in Expedia Cruises or something. Yeah, ExpediaCruises.com or something. They all have their websites too, and you can buy them online, but there's no ability to have a dialogue and go, what if? Because what if you only get off at Alicante and go to the Swedish embassy? She wanted to get off at Alicante. Well, we finally I finally found one person. I said, we will keep calling until we find a trustworthy person, okay? And we kept calling, and she was getting angry. She said, just buy the ticket. I go, that's what they want you to do. The whole goal here is that you get so frustrated, you just hit submit, and you buy something stupid. And that's what the Kayak, Expedia, all these online services want you to do. They get you so confused. Like Spirit Air is just absolutely insane. We tried to buy a ticket airplane ticket through Spirit Air, and I finally bought it on Expedia because it was simpler. Expedia is my go-to website to buy tickets. I don't get a kickback or anything. I don't get kickbacks from anybody because they're trying to buy the truth from you, right? And most travel, that's why you should never trust a travel writer or a travel video person. They want to get a commission and take advantage of your stupidity. But this lady kind of paid me, I don't know, maybe she paid me $60, but I had to give her some self-esteem. Older people don't want to get something for nothing because they feel like you're treating them like a charity case. And so I take money from her because her self-esteem was dependent on buying her own way. And she wanted to do her own way. And I was getting scared because she had no email and telephone number. Tough, really, without an email, telephone number, or even an address in Fort Lauderdale. Here's a credit card. I said, you can't use a credit card without having an address. And she said, but I paid for a plane ticket at the airport. I said, well, they got a different system. It's not online. I said, yeah, you can go to an airport and buy a ticket. But they have the ability to process the ticket. Plus, they know that you're right in front of them and that you're not somebody else being fishing or trying to be a crook. Okay, well, what I finally realized is what there are is in the city where your cruise ship would be leaving, there are travel agents that are dealing specially with cruises. So the best way I surmise right now, the best strategy to buy a cruise ship ticket is to figure out what port you want to leave to and where you want to go to. Then go into the area, get on Google Maps, and find all the things. Now, a lot of these are pretending to be there, okay? They're not actually there. They're just pretending to be there. So they got maybe an address there, but there's nobody there, and they're selling them worldwide. And it's quite easy. The minute they start putting you on hold a dozen times, and you got to hit a bunch of buttons like press 2 to do this, you're getting switched to 24-hour operator that's just going to be processing it probably out of the Philippines, or right now Costa Rica's got a lot of these. I guess even Lake Atitlan's got some call centers. But you have call centers in Romania, Costa Rica. I mean, the United States ones are using mostly the Costa Rica ones because they want somebody that can pretend to be American. Right? Everybody's trying to pretend to be American. They're not American. Okay, American is somebody that's lived in the country for 4 generations and speaks and understands my culture and things. So when I got a hold of Bill Kennedy, we instantly recognized, because this lady has an American passport and a Swedish passport. Really nice lady. I really like her. And but Bill walked us through the thing, and it started out at $8.99. Then we said, wait a minute, why is it double? He says, well, there are no single passenger cabins. She said, so once in a while there is. And so technically, to get a cruise, I think the best way to do it would be to start like 1 year ahead, 2 years ahead, and try to go for that. If you're going to travel solo, to go one, because almost every ticket is sold on the idea that there's going to be 2 people. And so she ended up paying the price for 2 people, really, and having one person in the cabin, which is, pretty nice. She got a bigger cabin, I guess. But it was an interior cabin, and then they got like first class, second class. You got your porthole. You got all the way up to prices of $10,000 for a ticket, right? But she's using it, but the great part was she got like a $400 onboard credit so that she can use like play money. She can buy $400 worth of stuff. So her ticket really came to around, I don't know, $1,800 for 14 days. So you can see that you can live with full coverage insurance. You can live on a boat and have, you can live sailing around the planet on a boat all the time, just switching boats all the time. You could have full medical on the boat, and as long as you don't have a stroke or a heart attack and you just have minor stuff, you're going to be okay. Cheaper than a retirement home, right? Okay, well so back to how do you buy a ticket? You figure out what port you're going to leave from, and then you call up all the travel agents until you get one that's simpatico. You get one that you have a natural meeting of the minds. Like the minute that I started talking to Bill Kennedy, I knew that I had a person. He said, I will call you back in 5 minutes. And he called me back. He wrote me an email. He instantly created a relationship where I had his number. I had his number. He had my number. I had his email. I had his full name. We had a functional relationship. Like when you're dealing with anybody that doesn't tell you their full name, just hang up on them, okay? When somebody wants your phone number, give it to them, okay? Because they got to feel that they can trust you. You can feel that, but a functional relationship is when they tell me, hello, my name is Bill Kennedy. My name is, I said, this is Andy Lee Graham. I'm in Guatemala. I'm calling you on a Skype number. And are you seeing my telephone number on your caller ID? My telephone number is 260-624-4414. And we repeated, went through the whole process. And I gave him my phone number, and we started a relationship. Because we're going to give them like $2,000. Why would you give to any money and not expect to know their full name? Okay, my pet peeve is this anonymous, stupid, dysfunctional world where people are saying their first name and acting like I'm supposed to do business with them. Don't do business with anybody that is afraid to be known, especially online. It's ridiculous. Okay. But they take advantage of old people, right? They take advantage of young people. The young people are dumber than the old people. That's the funny part. Okay, we bought the ticket, but she didn't. One reason we had to buy it from the agent, she doesn't know, and this is why I'm leading into this money transfer thing too. She doesn't know, when you pay online, you have to use the exact address where the statement is going, okay? So I know right down to, like, I'm in a thing with my address now has a drive on it. So it's DR dot. It's not drive, it's dot. dr dot, and the Fort Wayne is spelled Fort, F-O-R-T, not F-T. All this stuff is radically important when you're going to use a credit online. Like I tried to pay with my credit card for her ticket because she didn't have any way to process for the thing. I paid it, and it wouldn't take the credit card. So 90% of the time, it won't take the credit card. It'll only take the, of course, they want to make it safe, right? They don't want anybody to cheat you and use your credit card. So they make it so it don't work, okay? And I have, but my debit card almost always works. And I paid with my debit card, then she went to the bank, and she says, well, I don't have dollars to pay you. And I said, I don't want dollars. I'm in a country that uses quetzales. Give me quetzales. And I said, I have to hold on to all these dollars or lose money on the exchange rate until I get back to the United States. And she kept trying to give me dollars. I said, but I think subconsciously she knew that she couldn't spend $1, so might as well give them to me. But I take a lot of dollars from the suit-to-heel, cachiquel people because Americans come here and they give $2 or $3 to these people walking around, right, selling goods. And they pay with money. And the country's racist, and the mestizos here that own the bank will take, they'll get $10 and they'll only get $6 or $7 in the local money because the banks cheat them. So I often exchange money at the proper rate. Now you have a whole bunch of $1 bills when I go back home. I haven't had that problem here in San Pedro, but normally when I'm in Peñasquel living, I have last year, I think I got 50 $1 bills. They're worthless too because they're crinkled, they're cut. You need absolutely pristine. I tried to pay Yachter at the Hotel Victoria or Titere yesterday with a $20 bill because I was in there I spent all my quetzals. And he says, Andy, somebody wrote the letter 2 on this. And I go, oh shit. Somebody writes on the money. How to ruin money, write on it. Okay, so that, again, how to buy a cruise ship is too easy. You just call up all the travel agents until you have a meeting of the minds, and then make sure they have their address there and get them to send you an email, get them to send you a text message, call them up, make sure all the connections work, and then before you give them your credit card online. Really, the better thing for him to do would have been to send us a link with a payment place, with the link. See, there's so many ways to steal your money, it's ridiculous. Okay, so that's the story of that. Now today, back to money transfers. I was calling up my friend Jeff in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He works at a bank, known him since Indiana University. And I'm broke. Okay, I got $450 a month coming in from my Social Security. I got like $550, but I have full coverage insurance. I think it's good. I've never really used it but one time, and I got a $29 a month a year. One time a year. If I use my insurance, I would have to pay a $200 deductible. Now, all of you know that there's all these miscellaneous fees, and the doctor doesn't care, the hospital doesn't care. They will say this is going to be this much, and they won't answer the question, is it covered by Medicare, right? Is it covered by my insurance? They don't give a crap about that, okay? So I tried to ask doctors, and there is a place in the bottom of a hospital where they have the processing. Like when mom was dying, I went down there and I found a place in the Cameron Hospital in Angola where they could actually say which things are processed. But don't talk to the doctor. The doctors don't care. They don't care how much it costs you. They just want to make money. Okay, so but the point is, I have full coverage insurance. Okay, but I only got $450 a month to live on. Now, my money's growing because I have a Patreon account. A Patreon is a way that you can pay. So my first link in here is a Patreon. So people that believe that I'm an honest person and believe that it's good to have Andy as a person to represent travel can sponsor me. I have a sponsor of $5, $25, $100. I even have a $500 one. But I did a search today and I said, Patreon percentage, and it says anywhere between 8 and 12%. That's a pretty good lump sum, right? But 8%. So that would be 8% a year. It's worth it because it's automatic and it's very easy to do, and that's an honest fee. When somebody gives me a super chat when I went live on YouTube, they get 30% of the money. Okay, and so right now I have 2 members that are joined my YouTube channel, and they paid for $5 and I net out like $3.20. So it really gets to be ridiculous how much the fees are. So I'm broke, and my sisters are trying to bribe me. Guess what? They're trying to bribe me. I have a really great family, okay? And they all made they basically went to university and are smart enough that they bought their house and they didn't keep adding on debt all the time, and they have their houses paid for. And the money, when you get rid of your children, after all your children go to university, from age, say you have your children when you're 20, and then when you're 45, all the children are adults, say by the time you're 50, what happens is, it happened to my mom and dad. After the kids all go through university, they all leave the nest, they all go out. Suddenly at age 50, my parents had 5 children, and the money just started piling up, okay? It just started piling up because my parents kept the same house. My sisters and brothers have kept the same house. So the ideal way to live life is to get a job, work at it for 30 years, and buy one house and live there until you die. Then you're going to be insanely rich. That's the opposite of what I did. Okay, so I've lived in 114 countries. What the wrong move. And I thought my social network was going to go super site. And I finally realized that social networks are where people argue. That's what they want to do. They want to prove how smart they are. And they all get on there and tell people about things they don't know anything about. And I was really disgraced and ashamed of the website Everyday Hobo, or not Hobo Traveler, but Everyday Hobo, or the social network part of this thing was disgusting. But I'm free. Okay, so what we want to do is have trustworthy people. Okay, and it's tough. Okay, so I'm sitting there with I'm going to talk about reoccurring payments. So I called up my friend Jeff and said, what? My sisters, I don't think, know how to do online banking. And I said, they all act like, they said, they both said, this was ridiculous. They said they'd pay me a big lump sum of money if I stayed in Guatemala. I said, I can't stay here. I'll kill myself. I said, these are insane, dysfunctional people here. Most of the expats that live abroad are insane. They hated the United States. That's why they left abroad. They hated the United States. Almost as a rule of thumb, when somebody moves abroad, it's because they're angry at the country and they think that the other country, for some reason, is better. And that's not true. The United States is a much more honest, safe, and functional than all the other countries outside the United States. I mean, it is definitely one of the least racist places on the planet. There's a big racism problem here between the Guatemala City and the local indigenous population called the Mayans. Okay, but whatever. But expats are the people that are unwanted in the United States. They're wanted by the law. They're wanted in the United States by the law, so they leave. They're unwanted by the people in the United States because they don't fit in. So they go abroad where they can be a big fish. So most expats are crazy. One reason why I keep moving locations, and I highly recommend that if you want to live abroad, to just change every 3 months. And then you have a real good flavor of the planet. And after about 10 different places, you're going to start really understanding how the world works. But never, ever buy a house abroad until you married somebody local and you lived there at least 7 years. International lying, you got people in Ecuador that right now they're having a cartel problem, and I'm laughing because there's people that literally get a residency visa, move to Ecuador, just like they're moving from Indiana to Ohio. Okay, but I need money. So the Patreon thing's growing, so I can see that in maybe in another year I'll be up to where I have an income of say $1,200 a month. $1,200 a month, and I'm rich. I will be able to save $400 for plane tickets and live on the $800 and travel the world. But right now I'm only getting about spendable money $550. I get about $450 in Social Security and $100 in Patreon, maybe $75. But it's growing. I'm happy. And I get some consulting fees. Like I just helped this older woman to buy a ticket. I don't know how much she gave me because she just kept pushing like salaries and dollars to me. And I kept trying to get her to, you understand when older people are managing money, they don't really, they can't be bothered. Okay, they get fussy. And I'm not going to make it a big deal that she's giving me money. And but I think she gave me about $65, $70. I don't know. I just put it in my pocket. I didn't care because I wanted her to be safe more than I cared about the money. I'm helping another friend of mine sell his real estate. And he says, I'll give you some money. I said, no. I said, get solvent, live within your means. I want to live within my means. And that's my goal. So my sisters, I talked to my friend, and I asked him, my sisters keep acting like, ask me for money. Well, I had a completely beneficial business for 23 years where I made great money, and I've been able to travel the world and had a great business for 23 years, and then COVID killed it. There is no international travel, and inflation and fear and all this presidential stuff has made everybody a wimp, and they're not traveling international. So my website right now, I'm talking about international travel, and it doesn't apply to people. And they're not gonna, only the smartest of the smart are watching my video right now and thinking about when they travel in 5 years. There's people they think that they can go learn everything about world travel in 1 month before they travel. Doesn't work that way, guys. It's a process. Understanding the geopolitical situation of the world and all the different variables for 253 countries, and I'm guessing how many countries, at least 253 countries that probably have their own money. When they got their own money and their own passport, I call them a country. Like Transnistria is definitely a country. It has a border, has money, and it has a passport. But the United Nations won't call it a country. Okay. There's a bunch of crap. But what I have to do is I have to say to my sisters, this is my account number. This is the router number, and this is the SWIFT number. Sometimes they want the SWIFT number. So I have all these things because people have wired me money. I've had, over 20 years ago, this Insure and Go would pay me $350 a month as a advertisement fee. That's when I would take advertising. It's the only one that ever was a functional person to deal with. I guess Expedia Australia paid me, they paid me like $150 a month for like 2 or 3 years. And I got a free Verizon phone, which was kind of funny for about 2 or 3 years. But the longer I do business, the more I realize that anybody that's trying to give you money is trying to pay you to lie. Okay, I never could be on the radio. I am not going to do it. I am going to come up with the companies that I would recommend, and I would take advertising from. Like I would take advertising from Walmart and Dollar Tree and McDonald's, because you don't have to go eat the bad food, right? They have good food, bad food. The coffee is the most economical. The Egg McMuffin is a great sandwich. You don't have to eat the French fries, even though I test them all the time. But we live in a real world. And Walmart is one of the best operating companies on the planet. Amazon I'll be glad when Walmart has online delivery done, and because Amazon is one of the least reputable companies on the planet. They go into competition with their vendors, and they won't guarantee anything. eBay, Amazon, I'm not gonna ever advertised, and I definitely any travel company. You can't trust any airline. I don't know of any airline that's trustworthy. I don't know of any hotel that's trustworthy. I don't know of any shuttle service. I don't know of any. I sometimes will say what hotel I'm in, but I'm always with the chagrin going, are they going to just screw the people, right? You just never know. Like from Mexico to Chile, you're almost guaranteed they're going to try to go for the gouge. Travel industry is built on going to gouge. Well, I'm going to try to get my sisters to set it up so that I need about $1,000 a month, and that means I only need another. I don't want to get like they want to give me a lot of money, and I go, I just want steady money. So there is a way to set up a fee that is almost free, where you can go to your bank account and you enter in the account number you're going to send it to a bank. Like I transfer money between 3 different banks. And I've done it for years, and kind of big money. We paid people in Pakistan, we paid people in Ukraine. Our best workers were in Ukraine, and it's kind of hilarious. I had an actual stockholder, Markov, that was a stockholder on Everyday Hobo that was from Ukraine. We had one American, but he was a real jerk, but he had worked with us for years, a long enough time that we gave him kind of a profit sharing stock. Okay, but you can say you want to have a remittance boy. I got paid one time for $500 by this man to say, twice I've got paid $500 to help a person to learn how to be a backpacker. Oh man, and both of these guys, it was hilarious because you would say, I will pay any amount of money to take this son of mine, or the one guy was his brother, and get him out of my world. Because both of these younger people were sociopaths. The one was for sure a sociopath. He had zero conscience. He took advantage of my friend Doug Adams that died last year. Doug was a simple guy, and everybody would take advantage of him. That was really sad. Okay, but I get paid $500 to set these guys up in a situation where they paid like $300 a month for rent. They had $200 a month for food, and they're going to live in the life of luxury. Didn't work with either one of them because they wanted to get back to the United States so they could take advantage of people and suck money from them. And what happens is a lot of kids become Jimmy Buffett sings a song called Remittance Man. Really funny. Remittance Man is a term that's in Wikipedia that is hilarious because a remittance man is when you have these noble classes, like, in the 1500s or 1200s, they would send their sons and daughters to different areas to get them out of their thing because they had a bad reputation. These rich kids were having sex with everybody. They were piling up the secretaries. They were doing, not the secretaries, the servants. What happens is when rich kids, first generation rich kids, they spend all the money. Very few people are reputable. Okay, and they're so entitled that they think they have the right to take advantage. One of the universals of being rich is people that are rich think they're smarter than the people that have no money. So the minute I say I have no money, 90% of you are thinking you're smarter than me. Kind of funny, huh? Businesses go out of business. I had a 23-year-old business that went out of business. What can I say? Life goes on. I will survive. And I'm real tempted to go back to Togo, West Africa, where I can rent a room for $7 a month and have a much better social life than here. Because the expats here, I was just talking to the tuk-tuk driver, the expats and extranjeros and the gringos here are certifiably crazy. I mean, they are probably 20% on Social Security disability for craziness. But the new flashbackers, there's very few long-term backpackers, and they're all over at San Marcos. This has become a lesbian hangout. I can't believe it. San Pedro is now a lesbian hangout. But I was just reading today that 28% of the Z generations are declaring themselves as LGBT alphabet. I don't believe that. It's just a fashion, guys. Um, Fashionable to be sexually confused. Okay, but they can set, any bank can set up a reoccurring, it's called a reoccurring transfer, and you go into the bank. So all they got to do is walk in there with my account number, my routing number, my SWIFT number, and they can set this up. Now, I can't give it to the average person because uh, I've had people try to steal my money by putting this, by giving this. You give this, and they figure out how to write a check, online check, and so you can't give it to anybody except your family. But I have 5 people in my world that have a universal power of attorney. And if you're going to travel abroad and you don't have anybody that you trust inside the United States to give a universal power of attorney, my recommendation is to stay home. Because when you start getting over 60, 70, 80, and you have nobody that cares about you, loves you enough to help you, that can help you manage your money affairs, you kind of in a tough spot. I'm 65 plus, and I'm very grateful that I have like 42 nieces, nephews, cousins, sisters, brothers, all that stuff. And I'm very mentally adept at what I'm doing. I do think, in a way, the president, after age, I don't know, I think you shouldn't be able to be president after age 70. Even though you're at the height of your experience level, you're at the lowest mental cogency level or whatever. Okay, I'm here and you're not, why not? So I hope that scrambled information was of value. I really, anybody that really thinks that I should stay in business and I should stay traveling and exploring the world, I would appreciate if you got on my Patreon link in the description and just give me $5 a month, and that will keep me thinking. See, the idea of anybody that's surviving by advertising money. I have never taken advertising money. I mean, I have, but I mean, I've always been discouraged with it because everybody that ever gave me anything free, they assumed that I would lie for them, and they get really mad. I had a guy that came here that paid me kind of a consulting fee to come here, and he was acting like, you lie to girls. You do. I erased him. I said, you are not a reputable person. I will not talk with you anymore. And he goes, what? I said, I don't deal with people that desire to lie, cheat, and steal. I won't do it. I haven't done it. The reason why I've been sober for 37 years is because I get up every day and I be a good boy. And I'm proud of myself. But when you're a good person, people get angry with you. This guy's talking to the grave over here. It's kind of sad. He's obviously some man or his brother or something died young, and he's in the graveyard. Okay, I better go because this is kind of sad. I'm in a cemetery. Why? It's the only place I can find quiet on Lake Atitlan to do a video. I'll come back again. I can go to the library too, but they're not open enough. They have too many, their hours are bad. Okay, hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell that you get a notification every time I do something. I have like 12 channels, and I'm making a lot of, on the other channels, I'm only making shorts. And so those of you with a very short attention span can go to travel tips, or you can go to, different topics. And I have the links in the bottom. If you go to my home thing, they're all in the bottom. Okay. I really don't want to talk about making money. I just want to have a nice life. Andy Lee Graham, I'm here and you're not, why not? Lake Atitlan, Guatemala.